the call to go and make disciples of all nations. The expectation should be that some of those disciples would become church planners. As people come to our church and they get plugged in, as we identify different leaders in our church, and we take them through a one-year discipleship program where we talk about things like hermeneutics and biblical counseling and discipleship. And our encouragement is that at the beginning, we want you to grow as a leader. We're not sure what the Lord will do with this time in your life, but we want you to be a leader. And so we identify from that group guys then who may have a calling to become planters themselves. One guy that we had come to our church, he had a heart for ministry and had been doing ministry, but he wasn't convinced that he could be a church planter. And I just had talked to him early on in his days with us about just praying about it and seeing whether or not God would have that for him. It's more about calling than it is anything else. And so just having him pray about that. And over those couple of years that he was with us, we could just start to see the Lord maybe opening his eyes a little bit to the fact that maybe if the Lord called him, then maybe he could do something like church planting. And so now, several years later, to see where he's at and see the church that God's built through him, gratifying to see God using them to make disciples. Maybe one of the greatest joys of being a church planting church is to be a part of a network of church planting churches. They have a heart to see Christ Church built all across North America. One of the things that we've been benefited from as a result of being a part of the network, I think our last church plant, we had eight churches who committed to help us, to pray with us and for us, and then to financially come alongside us and seeing this church planted. What's great about that for the guy who's being planted is he knows that it's not just one church that's with him, but there's really is this network behind him. He's able to call someone, any one of those churches to say, hey, what do you guys do in this particular ministry? What's your story? How did you guys do these things? There's no lone wolf kind of thing going on. God truly is using his church collectively to see these churches planted. So it's not just a theory that we talk about, it actually is something that's being done church after church. It was about 7 years ago in our church, we were starting to see that we needed more leaders in our church. And it just dawned on me that the reason that we didn't have more leaders is because I had not been developing them. I had not been pouring into men to see leaders brought up. And so I would just encourage you, just begin to pour into the men that God has brought you. Maybe God will bring other men as you begin this process, but have the faith that Christ is building his church, that he wants to strengthen her and help her. And he does that through common men like you and I. Have a plan to start pouring into your men. Some of them maybe are your future elders. Some of them maybe are going to be future youth leaders. Some of them may be planters. And so just have a plan to begin to pour into these men and then just see what God might do as he puts his calling on their lives.